So the thing about me is that I'm a bit of a nosy git, and I was sat here minding my own business and I just had a thought, I wonder how much software developers are being paid in the UK. But then I thought, wait, I'm a software developer in the UK, I could ask me. But I was like, no, I want to know how much other software developers are being paid because I'm nosy like that. So I googled it, but it came back with about 10 different numbers, and I was like, there can't be 10 different correct answers for the average software developer salary in the UK. Surely there can only be one correct answer. So I dug a little deeper, I did a bit of research, and I packaged it into this video so that we can go ahead and be nosy together. So whether you're already a software developer wondering if you've been underpaid, or whether you're wondering if it's worth getting into software development in 2026, let's get nosy. Now the problem is that everyone quotes a different number when it comes to UK developer salaries. Glassdoor says 55k, IT Jobs Watch says 70k, Levels.fyi says 84k. That's quite a difference between those numbers. None of them are lying exactly. They're just not really measuring the same things, which is not that helpful when you're trying to work out if you've been underpaid, or if you're trying to figure out whether getting into software development is actually even worth it in the UK right now. So you need to understand which number means what, because picking the wrong one will either put you off a genuinely strong career, or it'll give you completely unrealistic expectations going in. This video is going to sort it out properly. Real data, real sources, no hype, no doom. By the end, you will know exactly what UK developers earn at every level, what actually hits your account after tax, whether the job market is genuinely worth entering right now, and what this career can actually do for your life beyond just the number. So let's go. The headline numbers, these are the important ones. Every salary site gives you a different number, and most of them are wrong. Not because they're lying, but because they're not measuring what you think they're measuring. Glassdoor, IT Jobs Watch, Levels.fyi, none of them tell you what employers are actually paying, but there's one source that actually does, and almost nobody mentions this one, probably because it's run by the government and nobody finds that particularly exciting. But it's the Office for National Statistics, right? And they run something called the Annual Survey of Hours and Earnings. They pull directly from HMRC payroll data, so this is not a survey, it's not job ads, it's actual pay slips from 343,000 software engineers across the UK. And according to them, the median salary for a software engineer in the UK in 2025 was £56,914. That's full-time, UK-wide. That's what employers are actually paying. Now, here's why the other numbers look a little bit different. Glassdoor comes in at 55,580. That one is self-reported. Anyone can submit a number to that. So it's a little bit Wild West because it's all levels, all company sizes. There's no verification with it. You can take that one with a pinch of salt. IT Jobs Watch shows £70,000. Now, that one's pulled from live job ads, and it skews usually towards bigger companies that specifically use the word engineer, which is an interesting term, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But they tend to pay more. Now, Levels.fyi shows £84,744. That's top funded companies only, and it includes stock and bonuses on top of the base. And most people are really not earning that much, so you can just disregard that one. So when someone tells you UK developers earn 70k, they might be right. When someone else says 55k, they might also be right. They're just not talking about the same part of the market. The ONS figure tells you what is normal. The 56,000 number, that is the average salary. So what's changed? You've probably heard that UK tech salaries are getting worse. It's not quite right, but it's not completely wrong either. According to IT Jobs Watch, looking at the same 6-month window year on year, the ceiling is dropping. The top 10% of earners saw advertised rate fall 13%. The 75th percentile dropped nearly 8%. Outside London, though, it went the other way. The regional median rose 8.3%. The London premium is shrinking, which is interesting. Regional salaries are catching up. On the contract side of things, IT Jobs Watch shows vacancy volume up by 51%. Now, that one's not a pure fact, but that's just the number of jobs that they have on their platform at any given time. And according to them, it's risen by 51%. But on the other side of things, their day rates have gone down by about 8.3%. So that means that there's more work available, but less money per day. Classic. So the market isn't collapsing, but it is shifting. Where you sit in it now matters more than it did 12 months ago. Job market health. Now, is the UK developer job market actually dead? If you're trying to get into software development in the UK right now, the market is not dead, but it's not the same market it was 2 years ago either. According to Indeed Hiring Lab, software dev postings are up 5% year on year. The Office of National Statistics put headcount growth at 19,000 jobs last year. So it went from 324,000 to 343,000, which is good news, right? But now the less good news. Adzuna data shows entry entry-level tech postings are down 30% since ChatGPT launched. The Institute of Student Employers forecasts graduate hiring down 7% this year. That one's just a forecast, but it's still in that same vein. Applications, on the other hand, are up 44%. So what does that mean? That means that there's more people, but fewer doors. Now, according to Ravio's 2026 compensation report, AI and ML hiring is up 88% year on year, which is kind of expected. Hays surveyed over 5,100 employers, and 93% are still reporting skills shortages. The market isn't closing, it's sorting. Generalists seem to be struggling, specialists are getting hired, especially in the AI ML. Although there is an argument to say that full stack devs are universally in demand, right? Which is something that I've seen anecdotally. So if you're learning to code with no particular specialism and aiming straight at the entry level, that looks to be, based on the data, the hardest path right now. It's not impossible, but it's just harder than what it was. It's harder to stand out among the crowd. The experience ladder. All right, so what you're actually working towards. Okay, so here is the salary ladder you are working towards based on recruiter data and IT Jobs Watch advertised median. Junior, 25 to 40k, that's for the first 1 to 2 years. Welcome to the industry. This is the humbling part. Mid-level, 40 to 55k, that's 2 to 5 years in typically. Senior, 55 to 80k, 5 to 8 years in. And then you get staff or lead engineer, which is typically around 75 to 110k. That's about 8 years plus. But at that point anyway, you're mostly just sat in meetings. So the biggest jump is junior to mid, which is 30 to 50% in 2 to 3 years. After that, senior to staff requires more than just tenure. Leadership ability and system design, the technical bar alone won't get you there. And the title matters more than most people realize. IT Jobs Watch puts junior software engineer ads at £35,000, software engineer at 70k, senior software engineer at 75k. Same skills can sit in very different employer pools depending on what the role is called. Higher paying firms use engineer, lower paying ones use developer. Although if you ask most devs, they'll tell you that there's not really any difference in those roles. It's just a naming difference. So you don't always need 5 more years. Sometimes you just need a better company that uses the word engineer. What a UK developer salary actually pays you every month. Now this one is not actually unique to devs. This is just your take home rate at different salary levels, and it'd be the same whatever job you're doing. The gross salary number is basically meaningless on its own. What matters is what actually hits your account. Based on gov.uk's 2025-2026 tax rates with a 5% pension. If you want, I think pension is a waste of time, but that's what most people do. Here's what the numbers actually look like. If you're making 30k, £1,957 a month will hit your account. 45k, £2,682 will hit your account. 60k, £3,407 a month will hit your account. 70k, £3,890 a month will hit your account. The jump from 45k to 70k feels massive on paper. In your account, it's about £1,208 a month. So it's worth chasing. It's just not the gap that most people think it is. And the jump from 70k to 100k only adds about £621 a month. Now above 100k, gov.uk rules mean that your personal allowance starts getting withdrawn. So you lose £1 of tax-free income for every £2 you earn over 100 grand. Effective marginal rate hits 60%. That's the government's little treat for doing well. Contractor versus permanent. This one's very relevant to me because I'm a contractor. If you're a UK dev thinking about contracting at some point, which a lot of people do because it's good money, there's one thing that you need to understand before anything else. And it's something that's plagued my life for the past, I think, 6 years now. IR35. 2 letters that will make any contractor's eye twitch. IT Jobs Watch puts the current median contract rate at £550 a day. 220 working days, that's around £121,000 gross. Outside IR35 through your own limited company, take home around 85 to 88k, but any contractor who's outside IR35 probably is only taking on 50k if you're smart about it, and then just leave the rest in your business account so that you can be tax efficient. Inside IR35, you'll be through an umbrella company. Take home drops to around 72 to 76k, same day rate, same work. The thing to watch out for inside IR35 contracts is national insurance and also who pays for sick days and holidays. So you need to find that out before you sign any contract with an umbrella company. But in any case, the numbers I quoted you, according to IR35 rules, that's a difference of about £16,000 a year inside to outside, same day rate. So those figures are based on gov.uk 2025-26 rates. Most people picking up their first contract don't ask about about IR35 until after they've signed, right? So always ask, like, not just before you sign, but at the point where a recruiter reaches out to you, or at the point where you apply for the job, you need to understand whether the contract is inside or outside IR35. And on the current market, IT Jobs Watch shows volume up 51%, but rates down 8.3% year on year. More opportunities than last year, not as good day rate. So it means that you need to negotiate harder. So what does a UK developer salary actually buy you if you leave? And I've included this because I'm a digital nomad and I like to travel around and spend time in other countries. And obviously the cost of living is different in other countries. So this is something that's particularly close to my heart. Now, we've been anchoring on £56,914 as the real world median, according to the Office of National Statistics. Drop my pen. Let's look at what the advertised mid-market 70 grand actually buys you depending on where you live. So the monthly take home at 70k is about £3,890. In London, essential costs, so rent, food, transport, gym, that will run you around £2,870 a month. 74% of your take home goes on the basics, which leaves you with enough, I don't know, a visit to the zoo and a few pasties from Greg's. Not a lot, to be honest. But you can take that same salary, same job, same laptop. But if you're in Bangkok, that would be about £900, £950 on essentials. 21% of take home, no, more than that, which is much less of your take home. That's about £3,000 a month left. And if you were in Kuala Lumpur, it'd be about £800 on essentials. And for contrast, if you were in Kuala Lumpur, that'd be about £800 a month on essentials. Remote first UK companies and outside IR35 contracts make this possible without changing your income at all. Thailand has a 5-year digital nomad visa. Malaysia has one too, although if you're from the UK, you can get 3-month visa on arrival anyway. The salary stays the same, but the life it buys is completely different. So the question that a lot of people are asking, is software development still worth it in the UK in 2026? And here's the honest answer: yes, it is, but not in the same way that it was being sold 5 years ago. Back when people were acting like you could learn to code in 12 weeks and retire, right? You all saw those YouTubes, you all saw those day in the life of a software engineer. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. The Office of National Statistics puts headcount at 343,000 jobs, which we mentioned before. That's 5.9% growth from the year before. And here's found 93% of employers are still reporting skills shortages. Ravio has AI and ML up 88% year on year. Now, the ONS all-worker median salary is 39,039 pence. Software developers sit 46% above that. And you don't need a degree, right? So the barrier to entry is not that high. The harder news, though, is that entry level is more competitive than it was. The ceiling is compressing. You can't just learn to code and expect the market to meet you halfway. But if you build the right skills, you target the right companies, and think about what the salary can actually do for you beyond just the number, it's still one of the strongest career moves available in the UK. Is it worth it? The question is, what do you want it to do for your life? Because the salary is a tool, right? It's not the point. If you found this useful, follow me. This is the kind of content that I like to make. No hype, no doom. And if you want to go deeper on this particular topic, there is a free data pack in the description. Every number from this video, every source cited, take-home tables from 28k to 100k, the full contractor versus perm breakdown, a complete experience ladder. It's all in there and it's completely free. Link below.